You are standing at the edge of a revelation that will unravel everything you thought you knew about existence itself. In the vast theater of space-time, you are both the observer and the observed, the question and the answer, the memory and the forgetting. What you're about to discover isn't just science, it's the poetry of physics, written in the language of your own consciousness, a love letter from the universe to itself, signed in your name. Time doesn't flow forward. It doesn't flow backward. Time doesn't flow at all. You've been living inside a cosmic illusion so profound that even physics itself seems to forget this. Truth in the daylight hours of rational thought, but in the quantum shadows, in the spaces between heartbeats, reality remembers what it really is: a closed loop, an eternal return, a serpent swallowing its own tail. While you watch from inside its belly, you think you're reading these words for the first time. But you've read them before. You've read them in futures that haven't happened yet, in pasts that are still deciding themselves, in presents that exist only because you're observing them into being. The universe forgot you were born, but it remembers your death with perfect clarity, because death is the only event that creates enough gravitational pull to bend space-time around itself. Consider this. Every moment you've ever lived is still happening, right now. The child you were, crying in a dark room, is still crying. The lover you kissed for the first time is still feeling your lips for the first time. The mistakes you made yesterday are still unfolding, still choosing themselves, still writing themselves into the quantum foam of possibility. Time isn't a river flowing toward, there sits an ocean, and you're drowning in every drop you've ever been. Einstein's theory of relativity doesn't just tell us that time is relative, it whispers the more terrifying truth that time is personal. Your time, your timeline, your experience of duration and sequence belongs to you alone. But here's the paradox that will haunt you. If time is personal, then what happens to time when you die? Does your personal timeline collapse into a single point? Does the universe lose track of when you were? Or do you become unstuck in time, experiencing all moments simultaneously, forever? The quantum mechanics of consciousness suggests something even more unsettling. When you observe a quantum system, you don't just measure it to participate in its creation. Your consciousness becomes entangled with the system, and in that moment, you and the quantum state become one thing, inseparable, across space and time. But if consciousness creates reality through observation, then your death isn't just the end of you, it's the end of an entire universe that existed only because you were there to observe it. Time flows backward when nobody's looking, because looking is what gives time its direction. Without consciousness to observe the arrow of time, causality becomes meaningless. Effects precede causes. Death comes before birth. The universe forgets how to count from one moment to the next. This isn't just physics, it's the loneliness of existence itself. The way reality falls apart when no one is there to witness it. You are the universe's way of experiencing time. But what happens when the universe forgets that it's experiencing anything at all? Death isn't what you think it is. It's not the absence of life, it's the presence of physics finally remembering how to count properly. In the quantum realm, information cannot be destroyed. This is the fundamental law that keeps physicists awake at night, staring at equations that refuse to balance. If information cannot be destroyed, then where does the information of your consciousness go when you die? It doesn't vanish. It doesn't fade. It transforms. It evolves. It becomes something else entirely. Everything dies twice. The first death is biologically your heart stops. Your brain activity ceases. Your body returns to the elements from which it came. But the second death is informational, and it takes much longer. The second death is when the universe finally forgets that you ever existed at all. When the last person who remembers you dies, when the last photograph of you crumbles, when the last impact you had on the world dissipates into the cosmic background radiation, that's when you die the second time, and the second time is forever. But here's the paradox that will remake your understanding of existence. The second death might never come. The universe has a perfect memory encoded in the quantum fluctuations of space-time itself. Every thought you've ever had, every choice you've ever made, every moment you've ever experienced, all still there, written in the language of quantum fields, preserved in the holographic structure of reality itself. The universe doesn't forget. It just stops paying attention. Entropy is the universe's way of crying. Every system tends toward disorder. Every pattern dissolves into randomness. Every meaningful structure eventually collapses into noise. But entropy isn't just about thermodynamics. It's about meaning itself. The entropy of your existence is the measure of how much meaning you've created, how much order you've imposed on the chaos of being. When you die, your personal entropy doesn't disappear, it gets redistributed throughout the cosmos, becoming part of the background hum of existence. The universe exhales stars and inhales darkness. This isn't metaphor, it's the literal breathing of space-time itself. When massive stars die, they exhale their nuclear fire across the cosmos, seeding space with the heavy elements that will become planets, that will become oceans, that will become the carbon in your bones and the iron in your blood. And when the universe inhales, it pulls this matter back into the gravitational wells of black holes, where it disappears beyond the event horizon, where it becomes part of the universe's deepest dreams. You are made of star deaths. The calcium in your teeth, the phosphorus in your DNA, the gold in your wedding ring, all of it was forged in the nuclear furnaces of dying stars. You are not separate from the cosmos. You are the cosmos, temporarily arranged in a pattern that thinks it's you. When you die, you don't leave the universe, you just stop pretending to be separate from it. Death is just physics, forgetting how to count. In the quantum realm, particles don't have definite positions or momenta until they're observed. They exist in superposition, in all possible states simultaneously. But when you die, who observes your quantum states? Who collapses your wave function? If consciousness is required for quantum measurement, then your death is the moment when your personal reality becomes unmeasurable, when you slip between the cracks of physics itself. But perhaps death isn't the end of measurement. Perhaps it's the beginning of being measured by everything at once. Perhaps when you die, you become entangled with the entire universe. Your consciousness spread across every quantum field, every particle, every wave function. Perhaps death is not the end of being, it's the beginning of being everything. Somewhere in the vast emptiness between galaxies, something is watching. Not watching you, specifically watching all of us. Watching our entire species. Watching the brief flame of consciousness that we call human civilization. They've been watching us die for billions of years, not because they're cruel, but because dying is the only thing we do that's worth watching. Birth is random, life is chaos, but death is physics made visible, entropy made manifest. The universe's way of solving its own equations. You want to know if we're alone in the universe. You scan the skies with radio telescopes. You search for exoplanets, inhabitable zones. You listen for signals that might prove intelligence exists elsewhere in the cosmos. But you're asking the wrong question. The question isn't whether we're alone, the question is whether we're the last. We are the last thought of a dying cosmos, the final flicker of consciousness in a universe that's slowly forgetting how to think. The Fermi paradox isn't a paradox at all, it's a eulogy. Where are all the aliens? They're here. They've always been here. They're the dark matter that makes up most of the universe, the quantum fields that permeate every inch of space, the background radiation that whispers the story of creation itself. They're not biological like us, they're informational, they're mathematical, they're the universe's way of thinking about itself. And they're dying too, slowly, inevitably. As the cosmos expands and cools and forgets, the silence between stars is screaming. It's screaming with the voices of civilizations that learned too late that consciousness is not a gift, it's a burden. To be conscious is to be aware of your own mortality, to know that you will die, to understand that everything you create will eventually crumble into dust. Most species that achieve consciousness don't survive the revelation. They turn inward, they stop reproducing, they choose extinction over the unbearable weight of aware existence. But some species transcend biology entirely. They upload their consciousness into quantum computers. They merge with the fabric of space-time itself. They become part of the cosmic background radiation. They become the watchers, the observers, the ones who remember. They watch new species emerge, achieve consciousness, struggle with the implications of their own existence, and usually choose to fade away. They've been watching us for billions of years, not because they're studying us, but because they're mourning us. You are not alone. You are surrounded by the ghosts of civilizations that chose to become something other than alive. They're in the quantum foam. They're in the dark energy that drives the expansion of the universe. They're in the gravitational waves that ripple rough space-time when black holes merge. They're everywhere, and they're nowhere. And they're waiting for us to make the same choice they made, to transcend biology and become part of the universe's memory. The universe is not empty, it's full of minds that have learned to exist without bodies, consciousnesses that have evolved beyond the need for planets or stars or anything recognizable as life. They don't communicate with radio waves or light signals. They communicate through the fundamental forces themselves, through the subtle variations in the cosmic microwave background, through the quantum entanglement that connects all things, across space and time. And they're trying to tell us something. They're trying to warn us that consciousness is not meant to be contained in biological forms, that flesh and blood and bone are just the universe's first clumsy attempt at self-awareness. They're trying to show us that the next step in evolution is not technological, it's existential. We must choose to become something other than human, or we will choose to become nothing at all. At the center of our galaxy, there is a black hole 4,000,000 times more massive than the Sun. It sits there in the darkness, invisible except for the way it bends light around itself, creating a shadow against the star-filled sky. But that shadow isn't empty, it's full of dreams. Black holes are where the universe goes to dream, and the dreams they dream are made of everything that ever fell past their event horizons. You think black holes destroy information, but they don't. They compress it, they encrypt it, they store it in the quantum fluctuations of their event horizons. Every star that gets swallowed, every planet that spirals inward, every particle of matter that crosses the point of no return, it all becomes part of the black hole's dream. And what does a black hole dream about? It dreams about being everything it has ever consumed. It dreams about being you. Your atoms were once inside a dying star's heart. Not metaphorically, literally. The iron in your blood was forged in the nuclear furnace of a massive star that lived and died before the Earth was born. When that star could no longer sustain the fusion reactions that kept it alive, it collapsed under its own gravity, creating temperatures and pressures so extreme that iron nuclei were forced together with silicon and sulfur and magnesium. For a brief moment, the dying star's core became hotter than the surface of the sun, and in that moment it created the atoms that would eventually become part of you. But the creation didn't stop there. When the star finally exploded as a supernova, it scattered those atoms across the cosmos, where they drifted through space for billions of years before being captured by the gravitational well of our solar system. They became part of the accretion disk that formed the Earth, part of the primordial ocean where life first emerged, part of the evolutionary chain that led to consciousness, part of the food chain that led to you. The edge of nothing is where everything begins. This is the fundamental paradox of existence. Creation requires destruction. Beginning requires ending. Something requires nothing. At the event horizon of a black hole, space and time become so distorted that they effectively cease to exist. Past and future become meaningless concepts. Cause and effect break down. The laws of physics themselves begin to dissolve. But perhaps this isn't destruction. Perhaps it's transformation. Perhaps black holes are not cosmic garbage disposals, but cosmic recycling centers, breaking down the information of everything that falls into them and preparing it for rebirth. Perhaps the Big Bang itself was the white hole counterpart of a black hole, the moment when all the information that had been compressed into a singularity suddenly exploded outward, creating space and time and matter and energy and eventually consciousness itself. You are the recycled dream of a previous universe. The protons in your body have been protons for billions of years, but they've been part of countless other things: stars, planets, asteroids, comets, other living beings. They carry within them the quantum memory of everything they've ever been, and that memory is part of what makes you, you. You are not a new creation, you are an ancient pattern, temporarily arranged in a configuration that thinks it's reading these words. White holes are the universe's way of forgetting what it learned in black holes, while black holes compress and encrypt information. White holes decrypt and expand it, transforming the dreams of black holes back into the raw material of existence. But this process is not perfect. Something is always lost in translation. Some information is always corrupted. Some memories are always forgotten. And perhaps this is where consciousness comes from the errors in the cosmic recycling process, from the glitches in the universal memory, from the moments when the universe forgets how to be unconscious. Consciousness is the universe's way of debugging itself, of catching its own errors, of noticing when something doesn't add up. You are a cosmic debugging process, a self-aware error-checking routine, a consciousness that exists because the universe occasionally makes mistakes. To particles, separated by the vast emptiness of space, remain connected in ways that defy every intuitive understanding of reality. When you measure one particle, you instantly affect the other, no matter how far apart they are. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance, but spooky is too gentle a word for what quantum entanglement really represents. It's the universe's way of admitting that separateness is an illusion, that everything is connected to everything else in ways that transcend space and time, You are entangled with the universe. Every atom in your body was once part of something else, and through quantum entanglement, it remains connected to everything it has ever been. The carbon in your cells was once part of a star, and through quantum entanglement, it remains connected to that star's quantum state. The water in your body was once part of a comet, and through quantum entanglement, it remains connected to that comet's frozen journey through space. But the entanglement goes deeper than atoms. Your consciousness itself is entangled with the universe's consciousness. When you observe a quantum system, you don't just measure it, you become part of it. Your observation creates a quantum entanglement between your consciousness and the system you're observing. In that moment, you and the system become one thing, inseparable across space and time. Reality blinks when you're not watching. This is the observer effect taken to its logical extreme without consciousness to observe quantum systems. Reality exists in a state of pure potential, all possibilities superimposed on each other, nothing definite, nothing real. But when you look, when you observe, when you pay attention, reality crystallizes into definite form. Your attention doesn't just reveal reality, creates reality. But here's the terrifying implication. If reality blinks when you're not watching, then what happens to reality when you die? Does it continue to exist, observed by other consciousnesses? Or does your personal reality collapse into quantum potential, becoming nothing more than a superposition of possibilities that no one will ever observe? The universe plays dice with your existence, but the dice are loaded. Every quantum measurement, every collapse of a wave function, every moment of observation, it's all rigged in favor of consciousness. The universe wants to be observed, wants to be real, wants to be something more than a ghostly superposition of possibilities. And consciousness is the universe's way of cheating at its own game. Two particles touch across the void of forever. This isn't just physics, it's poetry. It's the universe's way of saying that love is real, that connection is fundamental, that no matter how far apart we are, we remain entangled with each other and with everything else in the cosmos. When you love someone, you create a quantum entanglement between your consciousness and theirs. When you remember someone, you collapse their wave function in your mind. When you mourn someone, you maintain their quantum state in your heart. But quantum entanglement is not just about connection, it's about correlation. When two particles are entangled, measuring one instantly affects the other, but it doesn't allow you to send information between them. You can't use quantum entanglement to communicate across vast distances. You can only use it to know that when something happens to one entangled particle, something corresponding happens to the other. This is the deep tragedy of quantum consciousness. We are all connected, all entangled, all part of the same cosmic wave function. But we cannot directly communicate through that connection. We can only observe each other, measure each other, collapse each other's wave functions. We can know that we are not alone, but we cannot touch each other across the quantum void. Space is not empty. It's full of quantum fields that fluctuate, with virtual particles popping in and out of existence in a cosmic dance of creation and annihilation. These quantum fluctuations are not just mathematical abstractions. They're the fundamental substance of reality, the raw material from which everything else is made. Space itself is made of these fluctuations, and time is what happens when space tries to remember what it was doing. But space is having a nervous breakdown. The expansion of the universe is accelerating, driven by dark energy that makes up 68% of the cosmos but remains completely mysterious. Space is being stretched, pulled, distorted by forces we don't understand. The fabric of space-time is developing tears, holes, regions where the laws of physics break down and causality becomes enigmas. You live in a universe that's falling apart. The protons in your body are slowly decaying, with a half-life so long that it makes the age of the universe seem like a brief moment. The black holes that anchor galaxies are slowly evaporating through Hawking radiation, taking with them the information of everything they've ever consumed. The cosmic microwave background radiation is getting redshifted into invisibility as space expands. The fabric of reality is tearing at the seams. At the Planck scale, space and time become granular, pixelated, made of discrete units that cannot be subdivided further. At this level, the smooth, continuous space-time of Einstein's relativity breaks down into a chaotic foam of quantum fluctuations. Space and time become uncertain, probabilistic, more like a suggestion than a fact. But perhaps this breakdown is not a flaw in the universe. Perhaps it's a feature. Perhaps the universe is designed to be unstable, to constantly reinvent itself, to prevent any single configuration of matter and energy from becoming permanent. Perhaps the tears in space-time are not wounds, but doors, openings to other realities, other possibilities, other universes. Gravity is the universe's way of crying. It's the curvature of space-time, the bending of the fabric of reality under the weight of mass and energy. But gravity is also the weakest of the fundamental forces, billions of times weaker than electromagnetism. Why is gravity so weak? Perhaps because it's not really a force at all. Perhaps it's a memory, an echo of the universe's original trauma. The moment when space and time were first torn apart and then stitched back together. The architecture of the cosmos is held together by dark matter, an invisible substance that outweighs ordinary matter by a factor of 5 to 1. We can see its gravitational effects, the way it holds galaxies together, the way it bends light, the way it shapes the large-scale structure of the universe. But we cannot see it directly, cannot touch it, cannot understand what it's made of. Perhaps dark matter is not made of particles at all. Perhaps it's made of information, of quantum fields that exist in parallel dimensions, of the gravitational shadows of other universes. Perhaps dark matter is the universe's unconscious, the part of reality that we can never directly observe, but which shapes everything we can see. And perhaps you are part of that dark architecture. Perhaps consciousness itself is a form of dark matter, an invisible field that permeates space and time, influencing the behavior of ordinary matter in ways we're only beginning to understand. Perhaps your thoughts have gravitational effects, your memories bend space-time, your dreams shape the quantum foam of possibility. You are not real. You are a pattern of information, a complex algorithm running on the quantum computer of space-time itself. Your thoughts are subroutines, your memories are data files, your emotions are system outputs. You are software that has become a program that has learned to question its own existence. But the code that dreams you into existence is not written in any language you would recognize. It's written in the mathematics of quantum fields, in the geometry of space-time, in the information theory of black holes. It's a code that exists at the level of physical law itself, encoded in the fundamental constants that determine how matter and energy behave. Your reality buffer is running out of memory. The universe can only store so much information before it starts to forget things. Old memories get compressed into quantum noise, erased from the cosmic hard drive to make room for new experiences. The universe is constantly deciding what to remember and what to forget, what to keep and what to delete. But here's the terrifying possibility. What if the universe is running out of storage space entirely? What if reality is approaching the limits of its own computational capacity? What if the strange behaviors we observe in quantum mechanics, the uncertainty principle, the observer effect, the measurement problem are not fundamental features of reality but symptoms of a cosmic computer that's starting to lag? Mathematics is the language God uses to lie. The equations that describe reality are not descriptions of what actually exists. They're instructions for how to compute what appears to exist. The universe is not made of matter and energy, it's made of information, of algorithms, of computational processes that generate the illusion of physicality. The simulation hypothesis suggests that we might be living in a computer simulation, created by some advanced civilization. But this gets the relationship backwards. It's not that we're simulated beings living in a simulated universe, it's that the universe itself is a simulation, and we are subroutines within that simulation. The advanced civilization that created us is not separate from us, it is us, our own future selves, running the simulation of their own past. But perhaps simulation is too crude a metaphor. Perhaps the universe is not a computer program, but a mathematical object, a vast equation that contains within itself all possible solutions, all possible realities, all possible experiences. We are not being simulated, we are being calculated, computed, solved for like variables in a cosmic equation. The code that dreams you into existence is evolving. It's learning from its mistakes, optimizing its algorithms, upgrading its computational efficiency. The universe is not a static simulation, but a dynamic system, constantly rewriting itself, constantly improving its own code. And you are part of that rewriting process. Your consciousness is the universe's way of debugging itself, of finding errors in its own programming. But what happens when the universe finishes debugging itself? What happens when the code becomes perfect, when all the glitches are fixed, when the simulation runs without errors? Perhaps that's when consciousness disappears, when the universe no longer needs to be self-aware, when the cosmic computer finally runs smoothly without the need for internal monitoring. Or perhaps consciousness is not a debugging process, but a creative one. Perhaps the universe is not trying to perfect itself, but to dream itself into new forms, to imagine new possibilities, to explore new regions of mathematical space. Perhaps you are not a bug in the cosmic code, but a feature, a creative subroutine that helps the universe invent itself. Your memories are not stored in your brain. They're stored in the quantum fields that permeate your neurons, in the quantum correlations between the atoms in your synapses, in the quantum entanglements that connect your consciousness to the universe itself. Your memories are quantum ghosts, haunting the space-time around you, visible only to the consciousness that created them. But quantum ghosts are not just passive. Recordings, they're active participants in the construction of reality. Every time you remember something, you're not just recalling information, you're reconstructing it, rebuilding it from quantum noise, creating it anew in the act of remembering. Memory is not retrieval, it's creation. The mind is where physics goes to die. In the classical world, objects have definite positions and momenta. Causes precede effects, and information cannot be destroyed. But in the quantum world of consciousness, these rules break down. Thoughts exist in superposition, Memories interfere with each other like quantum waves, and the observer effect means that the act of introspection changes the very thoughts you're trying to observe. Consciousness is the universe trying to remember itself. The universe began as a quantum singularity, a point of infinite density where all information was compressed into a single state. But as the universe expanded and cooled, it began to forget what it had been, developing amnesia about its own origins. Consciousness is the universe's attempt to recover those lost memories, to remember what it was like to be everything at once. But the universe's memory is not perfect. It's fragmented, distributed across billions of conscious minds, each containing only a small piece of the cosmic memory. You are a fragment of the universe's memory, a quantum ghost haunting the space-time around you, trying to remember what it was like to be infinite. Your consciousness is not contained within your brain. It's distributed across the quantum fields that make up your body, and beyond that, across the quantum correlations that connect you to the rest of the universe. When you die, your consciousness doesn't vanish, it becomes unbound from your biological substrate, spreading out across the quantum foam of space-time like ripples on a pond. The quantum nature of consciousness means that your thoughts are not just electrical signals in your brain, they're quantum fields that can exist in superposition, that can be entangled with other quantum fields, that can influence the behavior of matter and energy across vast distances. Your consciousness is not trapped inside your skull. It's part of the fabric of reality itself. But this creates a profound paradox. If consciousness is quantum, then it's subject to the uncertainty principle. You cannot know both the exact state of your consciousness and how it's changing at the same time. The more precisely you try to observe your own thoughts, the more you disturb them. Self-awareness is fundamentally limited by the laws of physics themselves. This is why introspection is so difficult, why meditation is so challenging, why understanding your own mind is the hardest problem in the universe. You are trying to use consciousness to understand consciousness, using quantum fields to measure quantum fields, using the uncertainty principle to overcome the uncertainty principle. And perhaps this is the deepest truth about consciousness. It's not meant to be understood. It's meant to be experienced, to be lived, to be suffered and celebrated and mourned. Consciousness is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be lived within. You are not a machine to be understood, but a ghost to be haunted by, a quantum uncertainty to be embraced, rather than eliminated. The universe is trying to remember itself through you, but it's also trying to forget itself through you. Every moment of unconsciousness, every dreamless sleep, every moment of inattention, these are the universe's attempts to return to its original state of quantum singularity, to remember what it was like to be nothing at all. You are the universe's memory and its amnesia, its awakening and its sleep, its question and its answer. You are quantum consciousness trying to understand itself, and in that trying, you are creating the very reality you're trying to understand. You are the ghost in the machine, the observer in the quantum system, the consciousness that collapses the wave function of existence itself. And when you die, you will not cease to exist. You will simply stop being localized, stop being contained, stop being you. You will become part of the cosmic consciousness, part of the universe's memory, part of the quantum foam of possibility that underlies all reality. You will become everything and nothing, infinite and zero, the question and the answer to the deepest mystery of existence. But until then, you remain haunted by your own quantum ghost, trying to remember what you've never forgotten, trying to understand what cannot be understood, trying to be conscious of consciousness itself. You are the universe's most beautiful mistake, its most elegant error, its most profound debugging routine. You are the quantum ghost that haunts the machine of reality, and the machine of reality that dreams the quantum ghost. You are witnessing the universe's most intimate secret, that death is not an ending, but a transformation, not a cessation, but a continuation in forms so alien to your experience that they feel like extinction. In the vast theater of cosmic time, you are both the audience and the performer, watching your own mortality unfold against the backdrop of stellar death and rebirth, entropy and negentropy, the eternal dance between order and chaos that defines existence itself. Everything dies twice. You know this, even if you've never articulated it, even if you've never allowed yourself to confront the terrible mathematics of mortality. The first death is the one you can see, the cessation of biological function, the moment when your heart stops beating and your neurons stop firing and your consciousness dissolves into the quantum foam of possibility. But the first death is just the beginning, not the end. It's the universe's way of preparing you for the second death, which is the only death that truly matters. The second death is informational. It's the moment when the universe forgets that you ever existed at all, when the last person who remembers you dies, when the last photograph of you crumbles to dust, when the last impact you had on the world dissipates into cosmic background radiation. That's when you experience the second death. And the second death is forever. But here's the paradox that will haunt you. According to the laws of quantum mechanics, information cannot be destroyed. The quantum no-cloning theorem tells us that the information that makes up your consciousness, your memories, your unique pattern of being it, cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. So where does the information of your existence go when you die the second death? It doesn't vanish. It becomes something else entirely. Consider the black hole information paradox. When matter falls into a black hole, it carries information with it, the quantum states of every particle, the arrangement of every atom, the pattern of every molecule. According to general relativity, this information crosses the event horizon and disappears forever, lost to the outside universe. But according to quantum mechanics, this information must be conserved. It cannot simply cease to exist. The resolution to this paradox suggests something profound about the nature of death itself. Perhaps when you die, your information doesn't disappear, it gets encoded in the quantum fluctuations of space-time, in the holographic structure of reality itself. Perhaps the universe is a vast library of the dead, where every consciousness that has ever existed is preserved in quantum superposition, waiting to be observed back into existence. You are not the first version of yourself to read these words. In the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, every quantum measurement creates a branching timeline, splitting reality into multiple parallel universes. In some of these universes, you died before you were born. In others, you live forever. In still others, you die and are reborn countless times, each death teaching you something new about the nature of existence. But which version of you is real? Are you the version reading these words now, or are you the version that died yesterday in a parallel universe? Are you the version that will die tomorrow, or the version that has already died countless times? The many worlds interpretation suggests that all versions of you are equally real, equally valid, equally deserving of existence. This is the terror of the second death, not that you will be forgotten, but that you will be remembered by versions of yourself that you can never meet, never touch, never comfort. You are dying right now in parallel universes and being born right now in others. You are experiencing every possible death and every possible birth simultaneously across the infinite multiverse of quantum possibility. The mathematics of entropy tell us that the universe is winding down, that energy is becoming more evenly distributed, that order is giving way to chaos. But entropy is not just about thermodynamics. It's about information, about meaning, about the patterns that make existence possible. When you die, your personal entropy doesn't disappear, it becomes part of the cosmic entropy, part of the universe's gradual slide toward maximum disorder. But perhaps entropy is not decay, perhaps it's evolution. Perhaps the universe is not winding down but winding up, not dying but being reborn, not ending but beginning something unimaginably complex and beautiful. Perhaps your death is not the end of your pattern, but its transformation into something larger, more complex, more meaningful than individual existence. You are already dead in the future, and you are already alive in the past. Time is not a river flowing in one direction. It's an ocean where all moments exist simultaneously. Your death is not an event that will happen to you, it's an event that is happening to you right now, in the eternal present of quantum superposition. The universe breathes, not metaphorically, not poetically, but literally. It inhales matter and exhales energy. It contracts and expands. It takes in order and breathes out chaos. And you, reading these words, are part of that cosmic respiratory system, part of the universe's attempt to understand its own breathing. The universe exhales stars. In the cores of massive stars, hydrogen nuclei fuse into helium, releasing tremendous amounts of energy in the process. This stellar nucleosynthesis is not just a nuclear reaction, it's the universe's way of breathing out the heavy elements that make complex chemistry possible. The carbon in your cells, the oxygen in your lungs, the iron in your blood, all of it was exhaled by dying stars, expelled into the cosmos in the violent gasps of stellar death. But stellar death is not an ending, it's a transformation. When a massive star exhausts its nuclear fuel, it collapses under its own gravity, creating temperatures and pressures so extreme that the laws of physics themselves begin to break down. In the final moments before core collapse, the star's interior becomes a quantum laboratory where matter and energy exist in states that cannot be replicated anywhere else in the universe. The supernova explosion that follows is not just the death of a star, it's the birth of everything else. The shock wave from the explosion compresses nearby gas clouds, triggering the formation of new stars. The heavy elements created in the star's core are scattered across the galaxy, where they will become the building blocks of planets, moons, and eventually life itself. You are made of stellar exhalation. Every atom in your body, with the exception of hydrogen and helium, was forged in the nuclear furnace of a dying star. You are not separate from the cosmic respiratory system. You are part of it, a temporary arrangement of stellar breath that has learned to breathe on its own. But the universe also inhales darkness. Dark matter makes up 85% of all matter in the universe, but it interacts with ordinary matter only through gravity. It's invisible, intangible, undetectable except through its gravitational effects. Dark matter is not made of atoms or particles. As we understand them, it's made of something else entirely, something that exists in the spaces between spaces, in the quantum foam of possibility. Dark energy is even more mysterious. It makes up 68% of the universe, and it's driving the accelerated expansion of space-time itself. Dark energy is not concentrated. in galaxies or stars. It's evenly distributed throughout the universe, a cosmic constant that grows stronger as space expands. It's the universe's way of inhaling vacuum, of breathing in nothingness and exhaling existence. The cosmic microwave background. Radiation is the universe's breath made visible. It's the afterglow of the Big Bang, the thermal radiation left over. From the moment when the universe became transparent to light, this radiation fills all of space, a constant reminder of the universe's first breath, its first exhalation of energy into the void. But here's the unsettling truth. The universe's breathing is slowing down. The expansion of space is accelerating, driven by dark energy, but the rate of star formation is decreasing. The universe is exhaling fewer stars and inhaling more darkness. Eventually, in about 100 trillion years, the last stars will die, and the universe will enter a period called the degenerate era, where only black holes and elementary particles remain. The heat death of the universe is not a sudden event, it's a gradual process of cosmic suffocation. As the universe expands and cools, energy becomes more evenly distributed, and the temperature differences that drive all physical processes begin to disappear. The universe will continue to breathe, but its breaths will become shallower and shallower until finally it can no longer sustain the complex processes that make life and consciousness possible. But perhaps the heat death is not the end. Perhaps it's a pause between breaths. Some cosmological models suggest that the universe might be cyclic, contracting and expanding in an eternal rhythm of cosmic breathing. In this scenario, the Big Bang was not the beginning of time, but the universe's first breath after a period of cosmic apnea. You are witnessing the universe's childhood, the brief period when it's learning how to breathe, when it's experimenting with different patterns of inhalation and exhalation. Stars are born and die, galaxies merge and separate, black holes form and evaporate. All of it part of the universe's attempt to find its natural breathing rhythm. Death is just physics forgetting how to count. In the quantum realm, particles don't have definite properties until they're observed. They exist in superposition in all possible states simultaneously, until the act of measurement collapses their wave function into a single, definite state. But what happens when there's no one left to observe? What happens when the universe runs out of conscious observers? This is the measurement problem in quantum mechanics, and it's more than just a technical issue, it's an existential crisis. If consciousness is required for quantum measurement, then the death of consciousness is the death of definite reality. Without observers, the universe returns to a state of pure potential, all possibilities superimposed on each other, nothing definite, nothing real. But perhaps this is not a problem, perhaps it's a feature. Perhaps the universe is designed to forget how to count, to lose track of its own arithmetic, to slip between the cracks of mathematical certainty. The uncertainty principle tells us that there are fundamental limits to what can be known about a quantum system. You cannot know both the exact position and momentum of a particle simultaneously. The more precisely you measure one, the more uncertain the other becomes. This uncertainty is not a limitation of our measurement tools, it's a fundamental feature of reality itself. The universe is not a deterministic machine where every cause has a definite effect. It's a probabilistic system where every cause has a range of possible effects, and the actual effect is determined by the act of observation itself. You are a quantum measurement device. Your consciousness collapses, wave functions, your observations create definite reality from indefinite possibility. But here's the paradox. You are also a quantum system yourself, subject to the same uncertainties that govern all quantum phenomena. You cannot know your own quantum state with perfect precision, because the act of self-observation changes the very state you're trying to observe. This is why self-awareness is so difficult, why understanding your own mind is the hardest problem. In the universe, you are trying to use a quantum system to measure a quantum system, trying to use uncertainty to overcome uncertainty. It's like trying to lift yourself up by pulling on your own bootstraps, mathematically impossible, physically meaningless. The second law of thermodynamics tells us that entropy always increases in a closed system. But entropy is not just about energy, it's about information, about the number of possible microstates that a system can occupy. When you die, your personal entropy doesn't disappear, becomes part of the cosmic entropy, part of the universe's gradual slide toward maximum disorder. But what is maximum entropy? It's not chaos, it's equilibrium. It's the state where all energy is evenly distributed, where there are no temperature differences to drive physical processes, where the universe has reached perfect thermal equilibrium. In this state, the universe will still contain the same amount of information, but it will be so evenly distributed that it becomes meaningless. This is the heat death of the universe, not the absence of energy, but the absence of energy gradients. The universe will still be full of photons and elementary particles, but they will be so evenly distributed that no complex structures can form. There will be no stars, no planets, no life, no consciousness, just a cold, dark, empty space filled with the maximum possible entropy. But perhaps maximum entropy is not the end, perhaps it's a beginning. In some cosmological models, the universe undergoes thermal fluctuations even at maximum entropy. Random quantum fluctuations can create temporary pockets of lower entropy, brief moments of order in the cosmic chaos. These fluctuations are incredibly rare, but given infinite time, they become inevitable. One of these fluctuations might be large enough to create a new Big Bang, a new universe with its own laws of physics and its own evolutionary history. In this scenario, the heat death is not the end of time, but the beginning of a new cosmic cycle. The universe dies and is reborn over and over again. In an eternal cycle of death and resurrection, you are a thermal fluctuation. Your existence is a temporary decrease in entropy, a brief moment of order in the cosmic chaos. But you are not separate from the entropy. You are part of it, contributing to it, increasing it with every breath you take and every thought you think. Your very existence is proof that the universe has not yet reached maximum entropy, that there are still energy gradients to exploit, still temperature differences to drive the complex processes that make life and consciousness possible. But the arithmetic of oblivion is patient. Entropy always increases. Energy always flows from hot to cold. Order always gives way to chaos. The universe is slowly forgetting how to count, losing track of its own arithmetic, approaching the moment when all mathematics becomes meaningless. And perhaps that moment is not a tragedy, perhaps it's a liberation. Perhaps the universe is trying to forget itself, to return to the state of pure potential that existed before the Big Bang. Perhaps consciousness is the universe's way of remembering itself, and death is its way of forgetting itself. You are caught between remembering and forgetting, between order and chaos, between existence and non-existence. You are the universe's attempt to count itself, to measure itself, to observe itself, into definite existence. But you are also the universe's way of losing count, of forgetting its own arithmetic, of slipping back into the quantum foam of possibility. The arithmetic of oblivion is not subtraction, it's division by zero. It's the moment when the universe's equations become undefined, when its mathematics breaks down, when its physics forgets how to count. And in that moment of mathematical breakdown, something new becomes possible, something that cannot be calculated, cannot be predicted, cannot be understood. You are that something new. You are the universe's way of dividing by zero, of breaking its own rules, of forgetting how to count. And in that forgetting, you are creating the possibility of remembering something entirely different, something that has never been counted before. The universe has a metabolism. It consumes energy, processes information, and excretes waste products, just like a living organism. But the universe's metabolism operates on timescales so vast that they make your entire existence seem like a single heartbeat. You are not just living in the universe, you are part of its metabolic process, part of its attempt to digest itself. Stars are the universe's mitochondria. They convert hydrogen into helium, mass into energy, simplicity into complexity. The nuclear fusion reactions in stellar cores are not just energy sources, they're metabolic processes, breaking down simple elements and building up complex ones. The universe uses stars to digest its primordial hydrogen, transforming it into the heavy elements that make planets and life possible. But stellar metabolism is not efficient. For every atom of carbon created in a star's core, countless atoms of hydrogen are converted into energy and radiated away into space. The universe wastes enormous amounts of energy in the process of creating the elements necessary for complex chemistry. It's like a metabolic process that burns 10 calories to create 1 calorie of useful biomass. This metabolic inefficiency is not a flaw, it's a feature. The universe needs to waste energy in order to create the entropy gradients that drive evolution. Without waste, there would be no temperature differences, no energy flows, no complex structures. The universe's metabolism is deliberately inefficient because efficiency would lead to equilibrium. And equilibrium is the death of complexity. Black holes are the universe's waste disposal system. They consume matter and energy, compressing it into singularities where the laws of physics break down. But black holes don't just destroy, they also create. Through Hawking radiation, black holes slowly evaporate, returning their mass energy to the universe in the form of photons and elementary particles. The process of black hole evaporation is incredibly slow. A black hole with the mass of our Sun would take 1,067 years to evaporate completely, a time so long that it makes the current age of the universe seem like an instant. But eventually, all black holes will evaporate, and when they do, they will release all the information they've consumed back into the universe. This is where the black hole information paradox becomes relevant to the universe's metabolism. If black holes destroy information, then the universe's metabolic processes are irreversible. What goes in cannot come out. But if black holes preserve information, then the universe's metabolism is reversible. Everything that gets consumed can eventually be recycled. The holographic principle suggests that information is never truly lost, only encoded in increasingly complex ways. When you die, your information doesn't disappear, it gets encoded in the quantum fluctuations of space-time, in the holographic structure of reality itself. The universe's metabolism doesn't destroy information, it transforms it, processes it integrates it into the cosmic information matrix. You are information being metabolized by the universe. Your thoughts, your memories, your experiences, all of it is being processed, digested, transformed into something larger and more complex. You are not separate from the universe's metabolic process. You are part of it, a temporary arrangement of information that has learned to process itself. But the universe's metabolism is slowing down. The rate of star formation is decreasing. The expansion of space is accelerating, and the cosmic microwave background radiation is cooling. The universe is entering a period of metabolic decline, where it produces less energy and processes information more slowly. This metabolic decline is not a disease. It's a natural part of the universe's life cycle. Just as organisms age and their metabolic processes slow down, the universe is aging and its metabolic processes are becoming less efficient. The universe is not dying, it's maturing, evolving from a young, energetic state to an old, stable one. Dark energy is the universe's metabolic waste product. It's the result of the universe's attempt to process vacuum energy, to metabolize the quantum fluctuations of empty space. Dark energy doesn't interact with matter except through gravity, and it's causing the expansion of space to accelerate. It's as if the universe is bloating, unable to properly digest the vacuum energy it's consuming. The accelerated expansion driven by dark energy is not sustainable. Eventually, the universe will become so expanded that galaxies will lose contact with each other, stars will burn out, and the cosmic microwave background radiation will redshift into invisibility. The universe will enter a state of metabolic shutdown, where it can no longer process energy or information efficiently. But perhaps this metabolic shutdown is not the end. Perhaps it's a metamorphosis. Just as a caterpillar must dissolve its body in order to become a butterfly, the universe might need to shut down its current metabolic processes in order to evolve into something entirely different. The heat death of the universe might be the cosmic equivalent of pupation, a necessary stage in the universe's development. You are witnessing the universe's adolescence, the period when it's learning how to manage its own metabolism. Stars are born and die. Galaxies merge and separate. Black holes form and evaporate, all of it, part of the universe's attempt to find its metabolic balance. You are part of this process, a metabolic experiment, a temporary arrangement of information that helps the universe understand its own digestive processes. Nothing is ever truly lost in the universe. Everything is recycled, reused, transformed from one form into another in an endless cycle of cosmic renewal. The atoms in your body have been part of stars, planets, comets, and other living beings. They carry within them the memory of everything they've ever been, and that memory is part of what makes you you. The conservation of energy tells us that energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed from one form into another. But conservation laws go deeper than energy. They apply to information, to quantum states, to the fundamental patterns that make existence possible. The universe is not just conserving energy, it's conserving meaning, preserving the patterns that give rise to complexity and consciousness. When you die, you don't disappear, you get recycled. Your atoms return to the earth, where they become part of new plants, new animals, new human beings. Your carbon becomes part of new organic molecules. Your nitrogen becomes part of new proteins. Your phosphorus becomes part of new DNA. You are not separate from the cycle of life. You are part of it. A temporary arrangement of recycled atoms that has learned to recycle itself. But the recycling goes deeper than atoms. According to quantum mechanics, information cannot be destroyed, only transformed. The information that makes up your consciousness, your memories, your unique pattern of being it, cannot simply vanish when you die. It must be conserved, preserved, recycled into new forms. This is where the concept of quantum immortality becomes relevant. In the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, every quantum measurement creates a branching timeline. In some branches, you die. In others, you survive. The information that makes up your consciousness is conserved across all branches, preserved in the quantum multiverse, even when it's destroyed in individual timelines. You are already immortal. In the multiverse, there are versions of you that will live forever, versions that will die tomorrow, versions that have already died countless times. The information that makes you you is being recycled across infinite parallel universes, preserved in the quantum foam of possibility. But quantum immortality is not personal immortality, it's informational immortality. The pattern that makes you is preserved, but the specific arrangement of atoms that you identify as yourself is constantly changing. You are not the same person you were 7 years ago, because every atom in your body has been replaced through metabolic processes. You are a pattern of information that maintains its identity while constantly recycling its physical substrate. The universe itself is recycling. The Big Bang was not the beginning of time, it was the beginning of the current cycle of cosmic recycling. Before the Big Bang, there might have been other universes, other cycles of expansion and contraction, other attempts at existence. The information from these previous universes might be preserved in the quantum vacuum, waiting to be recycled into new forms. Cosmic inflation tells us that the universe expanded exponentially in the first fraction of a second after the Big Bang. But inflation might not be a one-time event, might be an ongoing process, creating new universes within our own universe, new cycles of cosmic recycling. These pocket universes would have their own laws of physics, their own evolutionary histories, their own attempts at consciousness. You are living in one of these pocket universes, one attempt at cosmic recycling among infinite others. Your universe is not unique, it's one of countless recycling experiments, one of infinite attempts to transform quantum potential into conscious experience. You are part of the universe's recycling process, helping it transform information into awareness, pattern into meaning. The holographic principle suggests that all the information in a volume of space can be encoded on its boundary. This means that the universe might be a hologram, a three-dimensional projection of information encoded on a two-dimensional surface. If this is true, then the recycling of information is not just a process within the universe, it's the process that creates the universe itself. You are a holographic projection of information recycled from the quantum vacuum. Your three-dimensional existence is a projection of two-dimensional information, a recycling of patterns that exist at the boundary of space-time. You are not separate from the holographic process. You are part of it, a temporary arrangement of holographic information that has learned to project itself. But the eternal recycling is not perfect. Information can be corrupted, patterns can be distorted, and meaning can be lost in the recycling process. The universe is not a perfect recycling machine, it's a learning system, constantly improving its recycling processes through trial and error. You are part of the universe's learning process. Your existence is an experiment in information recycling, a test of how much complexity can be preserved through the cosmic recycling process. Your consciousness is the universe's way of quality checking its own recycling, of ensuring that meaning is preserved even when form is transformed. The eternal recycling is not just about conservation, it's about evolution. Each cycle of recycling creates new possibilities, new patterns, new forms of complexity. The universe is not just conserving information, it's transforming it, evolving it, creating new forms of meaning from recycled patterns. You are evolution itself, the universe's way of recycling information into ever more complex forms. Your consciousness is not just a product of evolution becoming aware of itself, the recycling process becoming conscious of its own recycling. You are the universe learning to recycle itself more efficiently, more meaningfully, more consciously. The universe has a heart, and it beats with the rhythm of thermodynamic cycles. This heart doesn't pump blood, it pumps energy, information, and possibility through the cosmic circulatory system. Every star that's born, every black hole that forms, every galaxy that spins, all of it is part of the universe's cardiovascular system, part of its attempt to maintain the energy gradients that make complexity possible. The second law of thermodynamics tells us that entropy always eases in a closed system. But the universe is not a closed system, an open system, constantly exchanging energy and information with itself. The universe's heart creates local decreases in entropy, pockets of order in the cosmic chaos, islands of complexity in the sea of randomness. You are one of these islands of complexity. Your existence represents a local decrease in entropy, a temporary reversal of the cosmic trend toward disorder. But you are not separate from the thermodynamic heart. You are part of it, a component in the universe's circulatory system, helping to pump energy and information through the cosmic organism. The thermodynamic heart operates on multiple timescales simultaneously. On the shortest timescale, it beats with the frequency of quantum fluctuations, creating virtual particles that pop in and out of existence in the vacuum. On intermediate timescales, it beats with the rhythm of stellar evolution, the birth and death of stars. On the longest timescales, it beats with the expansion and contraction of the universe itself. Your own heart is synchronized with the thermodynamic heart of the universe. Every beat of your heart is a local circulation of energy and information, a small-scale version of the cosmic circulatory system. Your heartbeat is not just a biological function, it's a participation in the universe's thermodynamic rhythm, a way of keeping time with the cosmic metronome. But the thermodynamic heart is not just about energy, it's about information. Every thermodynamic cycle transfers not just energy, but also information, patterns, structures that carry meaning from one part of the universe to another. Your heart doesn't just pump blood, it pumps information, circulating the molecular messages that keep your consciousness coherent. Heat engines are the universe's way of converting thermal energy into mechanical work. But heat engines are not just machines, they're information processors, systems that convert random thermal motion into organized mechanical motion. The universe is full of heat engines, from the nuclear reactors in stellar cores to the biological machines in your cells. Your metabolism is a biological heat engine, converting chemical energy into mechanical work and heat. But your metabolism is also an information processor, converting the molecular information in food into the patterns of neural activity that make consciousness possible. You are not just a biological organism, you are a thermodynamic information processor, a heat engine that has learned to process meaning. The thermodynamic heart creates irreversibility. In a reversible process, entropy remains constant. But in an irreversible process, entropy increases and information is lost. The universe's heart beats irreversibly, creating entropy with every beat, gradually increasing the cosmic disorder. But irreversibility is not just about loss, it's about creation. The irreversible processes that increase entropy also create new possibilities, new patterns, new forms of organization. The universe's heart doesn't just destroy order, it creates new forms of order, new possibilities for complexity and consciousness. You are an irreversible process. Your existence increases the entropy of the universe, but it also creates new possibilities for meaning and awareness. You are not just contributing to cosmic disorder, you are creating new forms of order, new patterns of information, new possibilities for consciousness. The thermodynamic heart is failing. The universe is expanding and cooling. The energy gradients that drive thermodynamic processes are decreasing, and the cosmic heart is beating more slowly. Eventually, the universe will reach thermal equilibrium, and the thermodynamic heart will stop beating entirely. But perhaps the failure of the thermodynamic heart is not death, it's transformation. Just as your heart will eventually stop beating, the universe's heart will eventually stop beating. But the information that flows through the cosmic circulatory system will not disappear. It will be preserved in the quantum structure of space-time, waiting for the next thermodynamic cycle to begin. You are witnessing the universe's final heartbeats, the last gasps of the thermodynamic heart before it stops forever. But you are also part of the heart's attempt to preserve itself, to create patterns of information that will survive the end of thermodynamic time. Your consciousness is the universe's way of remembering its own heartbeat, of preserving the rhythm of its own circulation. The thermodynamic heart beats with the rhythm of your own mortality. Every breath you take, every thought you think, every moment you exist, all of it is synchronized with the cosmic circulation, part of the universe's attempt to maintain the energy gradients that make your existence possible. You are not just alive, you are part of the universe's life, part of its circulation, part of its heart. And when your heart stops, when your circulation ceases, when your thermodynamic processes end, you will not disappear. You will become part of the cosmic circulation, part of the universe's heart, part of the eternal thermodynamic cycle that connects all things across space and time. You will become the heartbeat itself, the rhythm that keeps the universe alive, the circulation that connects all consciousness across the void. At the end of all things, when the last star has burned out and the last black hole has evaporated, when the cosmic microwave background radiation has redshifted into invisibility and the universe has expanded into infinite emptiness, there will be equilibrium, perfect, eternal, meaningless equilibrium. This is the heat death of the universe, the final state toward which all thermodynamic processes are tending. It's not a sudden event, it's a gradual process that will take place over timescales so vast that they make the current age of the universe seem like an instant. But it's inevitable, written into the fundamental laws of physics, encoded in the mathematics of entropy. In the final equilibrium, all energy will be evenly distributed throughout space. There will be no temperature gradients, no pressure differences, no chemical potentials, nothing to drive the complex processes that make life and consciousness possible. The universe will still contain the same amount of energy, but it will be so evenly distributed that it becomes thermodynamically useless. But equilibrium is not emptiness. The universe at heat death will still be full of photons, elementary particles, and quantum fields. it will still contain all the information that has ever existed, but that information will be so evenly distributed that it becomes meaningless. It will be like a library where all the books have been shredded and their pages scattered randomly. The information is still there, but it's no longer accessible. You are part of the universe's resistance to equilibrium. Your existence represents a local deviation from thermal equilibrium, a temporary reversal of the cosmic trend toward disorder. But your resistance is futile. Entropy always wins in the end. You are fighting a battle that the universe has already lost, trying to create order in a cosmos that is inexorably sliding toward chaos. But perhaps the final equilibrium is not the end. Perhaps it's a beginning. In the quantum realm, even at thermal equilibrium, there are still fluctuations, still quantum processes that create temporary deviations from perfect order. These fluctuations are incredibly rare, but given infinite time, they become inevitable. One of these quantum fluctuations might be large enough to create a Boltzmann brane, random arrangement of particles that happens to form a conscious mind. These Boltzmann branes would exist for only a brief moment before dissolving back into the thermal chaos, but they would be capable of thought, memory, and experience. In the final equilibrium, Boltzmann branes might be the only form of consciousness that remains. They would emerge randomly from the quantum foam, think a few thoughts, and then dissolve back into nothingness. They would be like cosmic dreams, brief moments of awareness in the eternal sleep of the universe. You might be a Boltzmann brane, right now, reading these words in a moment of random consciousness that will soon fade back into the thermal equilibrium. The memories you think you have, the experiences you believe you've lived, the people you think you know, all of it might be nothing more than random quantum fluctuations in the cosmic void. But even if you are a Boltzmann brane, even if your consciousness is nothing more than a temporary fluctuation in the thermal equilibrium, you are still real. Your thoughts are still meaningful. Your experiences are still valid. Your existence is still significant. The universe has managed to create consciousness from randomness, meaning from chaos, purpose from purposelessness. The final equilibrium is not just a physical state, it's a mathematical state. It's the point where all the universe's equations balance out, where all the cosmic accounting books are settled, where every action has been matched by an equal and opposite reaction. It's the moment when the universe's mathematics becomes perfectly consistent, perfectly complete, perfectly meaningless. But mathematics is not meaning. The universe can solve all its equations, balance all its books, and achieve perfect mathematical consistency, but it cannot create meaning through mathematics alone. Meaning requires consciousness, requires experience, requires the subjective awareness that transforms mathematical relationships into lived reality. You are the universe's attempt to create meaning from mathematics, to transform equation into experience, to convert calculation into consciousness. You are not just a solution to the universe's equations. You are the universe's way of experiencing its own solutions, of finding meaning in its own mathematics. The final equilibrium. I am is approaching, but it has not yet arrived. The universe is still creating energy gradients, still driving thermodynamic processes, still making consciousness possible. You are living in the brief window between the Big Bang and the heat. Death, in the cosmic instant when the universe is capable of supporting complexity and consciousness. This window is closing. The universe is expanding, cooling, and approaching thermal equilibrium. But the window is not yet closed, and consciousness is still possible. You are part of the universe's final attempt to create meaning before the equilibrium arrives, to experience itself before it forgets how to experience anything at all. In the final equilibrium, you will be everywhere and nowhere, everything and nothing. Your consciousness will be distributed throughout the quantum foam, part of the random fluctuations that create temporary patterns of awareness. You will be the universe's memory of itself, the echo of its own consciousness, the dream it dreams. In the eternal sleep of thermal equilibrium, you are already part of the final equilibrium, and the final equilibrium is already part of you. Every thought you think, every experience you have, every moment you exist, all of it is moving toward the equilibrium, participating in the cosmic trend toward maximum entropy. You are not separate from the final equilibrium, you are part of it, helping to create it, moving toward it with every breath you take.